Come and move that in my direction. So thankful for that, it's such a blessing, yeah. Turn every situation into heaven, yeah.
All right, hey everyone. This is the first episode to the Michael Parrish Show, and I've got a very special guest. His name is Sam Parham from the UK, one of the initial members of 3-1, which we will talk all about. It's actually quite fascinating. He's a stuntman, an entrepreneur, an actor, and I'm sure a whole bunch of other stuff, and he'll tell you all about it. But go ahead, take the floor.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me first and foremost. Yeah, you can probably tell from my accent I'm from the UK, but I'm actually living in LA right now. Moved out here about a year ago. But yeah, let me start off on the journey to becoming a stuntman, and then the entrepreneurial endeavors that came shortly after that. But I started doing parkour and free running. You're familiar with parkour and free running, right?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I'm badass. What are you talking about?
Of course. Parkour. I mean, in the UK, it came over in around about 2003. At the time, there was a documentary I saw on TV, and I was just fascinated by it. So I started going outside and just jumping around, climbing anything I could find, and it just snowballed from there in terms of becoming more and more serious as me and my friends started just training and practicing on the weekends. Then we started making the whole videos, and through the videos is where we started getting recognition, and it happened quite quickly. And
yeah, and just to cut you off for a second, I feel like, listen, even I'm gonna tell you something. Even as a kid, me and my friends, and we would go home after school, we would watch your videos, and I'm not even exaggerating. I remember seeing your videos a handful of years ago, and I mean, it's like you took this movement from the streets, from just a few people doing it, and you brought it to the international stage, gave it worldwide recognition. I even remember watching, I think it was Chase, and he was performing on the Guinness Book of World Records for like the longest backflip over a car. Incredible. And I have a question for you. I mean, it's not just with respect to free running, parkour, whatever you want to call it. It's any art. It's very hard to transition from doing it as a passion to making it as a full-fledged pursuit for business. And you're one of the lucky ones. I mean, you were in the Harry Potter video, which is crazy cool. You were in Wonder Woman, which we have so much to talk about, especially the controversy now that it's been banned in Lebanon, which is crazy. I don't know if you heard about that.
That's new to me. No, I didn't.
What? Yeah, it's in the news. Like just from the fact that she's Israeli, there's a lot of political strife between Lebanese and Israelis.
Wow.
And yeah, so we'll get that in a second. But I'm so curious, and you really are a source of inspiration to those who are doing street arts like you, or doing art in general, whether it be singing, whether it be acting. And what do you feel helped you transition from doing it for fun to making it to this level where you are now?
You know what, you kind of touched on it, and it's funny because I relate to anyone else doing art, because you and I spoke before actually off this chat, but when we were talking about breakdancing and how I can still relate to a breakdancer, I can still relate to a singer, a drawer, or whatever it might be, because it's still art in that shape or form. And in many ways, especially with free running, it was so new and so underground that it wasn't even known that you could create a career out of it. So it wasn't even in our minds, this is going to be our job. And that's the key right there, is doing it with passion and doing it for the right
reason. Power of passion.
Yeah, we weren't doing it to make money. We weren't doing it to
exactly. You nailed it. And even in my philosophy, in terms of my endeavors, it's like, it's not about making money. Money should be an inevitable byproduct of doing something, of a stellar service. Mm-hmm. You perfect whatever it is you like doing, and when you have so much passion, other people will flock towards it. And then that's what money is. It's based on necessity. So awesome. I mean, that's incredible. And you should know that I breakdanced for many years, and you know that, but people listening might not know. And I mean, at some point I was going professional. I was doing 4 hours, 3 times a week. I was training hardcore. And I initially didn't start doing breakdancing. I initially started doing free running, parkour. Right. And it threw me off a little bit. Watching some of these videos, it's the risk factor. See, for breakdancing, there's an illusion. It looks like it's dangerous, but it's really just small increments of steps that you study. And when you look at it as an entire system, it looks a little dangerous. But when you break it down, it's just a whole bunch of safe steps, which obviously you could get hurt. But I didn't see a large risk factor in breakdancing. When I saw parkour and that picture where you're jumping from building to building, like even someone who's been doing this for years, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Do you not think twice? And how do you not freeze up when you're about to jump? Just walk me through it.
Dude, I will. I mean, that right there was what drew me to it so passionately, because I went from this shy, timid dude, lack of confidence in every aspect of my life, to finding this sport that pushed me like no other. Like, every time I found myself faced with a fear, and it would start off on a small level of accomplishment, you know, there would be something I wanted to learn a backflip, or I might have wanted to learn, you know, a certain jump, and you practice and practice and practice until you nail it. And then that sense of accomplishment when you do nail it is just so like on another level of adrenaline and all the rest of it. But inevitably you're looking for the next thing. Human nature, right? Once you've achieved one thing, what can I do next? And so it just kept on going. And because I was fortunate enough to be with the group, the free run guys that I was with, we were just so like-minded and so like passionate about it. And then we just wanted to share it with the world. So we were just making videos. And I remember when YouTube first came about, we actually thought it was just going to be a quick fad that was just going to come in and come out. And so we didn't even bother with YouTube at the beginning. We actually just hosted our videos as a downloadable link on our forum. And what happened was people downloaded it and then they put it onto their YouTube channels. And then after like 2-3 months, we got emails and people were like, oh, I've seen your video on YouTube. And we're like, what the hell? And literally, dude, there was people with our videos on their channels with like 30 million views.
Sam, I have to cut you off. Okay, so I had a Palm Pilot in high school. Those like primitive things where you're able to put like 4 videos. And that's all we would do is just download these breakdancing and free running videos and play them all day. It's so funny you say that. It's like I completely connect with it.
You know, so that's why we started doing the tutorials and things like that. And that kind of brings me on to another point that I just feel is crucial in any area. And this is why it's translated so well into my entrepreneurial endeavors, because it doesn't matter what you're doing, but if you want to be ahead of the curve, if you want to be successful at whatever you're doing, you need to innovate. You need to think differently to what everyone else is doing in that current pool or that current market. You know, if you're just going in to do something and you're just going to do it exactly the same as everyone else, well, you don't have a unique selling point. You don't have a differentiating factor that is going to make people watch your stuff as opposed to someone else's stuff, or buy your stuff as opposed to buy someone else's stuff. So
and I feel like that friendship factor you guys had.
Oh yeah.
It's like just like running a company. You can have a bunch of talented individuals, but if they don't work cohesively, if you guys don't have chemistry, you guys don't pull through those barriers that usually knock most other people down. And I do feel like looking at all your videos that you guys definitely had a stronger degree of friendship between all of y'all.
Definitely, bro. And that was a big factor. And you know, I mean, we can only look at that as fortunate really, because it wasn't manufactured. It wasn't like we sat there and said, let's pretend to be great friends for the video, or let's film us being happy. Like that was just the natural organic development of being around your closest friends. And we were fortunate to have that. There's no doubt about it. And I think that's what allowed us to stand the test of time, where a lot of other, you know, teams came and went, companies came and went. We lasted, and you know, we're still here today,
still here, still watching those videos, and they're still incredible.
It's wild, man.
I had a question for you, Sam. So as someone who did breakdancing himself, I mean, people sometimes look at breakdancing and they can look at maybe the art form that you do and they think it's you just run outside and just jump up and down, but there's a lot more of a science behind it. Like even me, every time I breakdance, I film every single move I do, and then I rehearse it and I look at the physics of it, my positioning of my arm, my leg. I mean, there's some ethic that you have to build to kind of become the level that you're at. And I want to know, for those even who are doing free running, what do you feel you did which was exceptional or different than your counterparts that allowed you to persevere?
I think at the time, because we were so ahead of the curve, everything that we were doing was in many ways naturally innovative, because it hadn't been done before. So it wasn't necessarily that we were even thinking to ourselves, you know, like now you'll look at videos and you can tell people are almost forcing thinking outside the box. They're like, I don't know, let's just let's just chuck a whatever in there, a slow motion balloon exploding whilst we do a flip over it. You know, they're trying to find things like hooks, like almost clickbaits and things. But at the time, we didn't have to do that because it was so fresh. And
Gotcha.
you know, we stayed true to our original philosophy of entertain and inspire. That was all we wanted to do. We wanted to entertain people and we wanted to inspire people. So that then just became natural. You know, tutorials, just going out and having fun.
How often? How much did you practice? Would you
all day, every day? Yeah, non-stop.
It was,
without doubt. I mean,
you made your passion your life. I feel like
dude, we would go out 9 hours a day.
Wow.
Like every day.
And how did you know when to stop? Like you're always pushing your limits, but sometimes you push just a little too far, and then boom, you sprain your ankle and you're done for 3 weeks. How did you because jumping from building to building is different. There's a risk factor there. You have to be mentally prepared to do it. I mean, I don't know. I've never jumped from building to building, but I feel like there's a lot needs to be done before you do that. And things can go wrong, God forbid. I mean, knock on wood. But how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
How do you plan for that? How do you take safety precautions? Like,
I mean, now I take it a lot more seriously. You know, I plan it and I practice it in a gym, in a safe environment. If I know that I'm, you know, looking to do and this will probably develop this particular conversation when we go into the stunts area, because that then in my eyes was where it really became a career. And you do look at things very differently when it becomes a job, because you have to be prepared for the next job. You know, you can't just go outside and risk busting your ankle when you've got a big gig coming up for a film, for example. Whereas in the early days, we didn't have that. We were kids. We were literally kids, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. And so that it never even occurred to us. You know, the thought of, oh, we might sprain an ankle, it didn't come into our minds because we were training every single day. Our bodies were constantly being more and more prepared for the feats that we were putting them under. And sure, I mean, we had slip-ups, we bumps, bruises, breaks here or there. It was all part and parcel of it.
Gotcha. Now, I had a question for you, another one. Many questions, of course. So for those who are doing the free running stuff, how do they get those gigs that you're getting? So you played in Harry Potter, you played in a whole bunch of commercials, and I've seen a whole bunch of movies on your IMDb, and now you're in Wonder Woman, which I would like to talk about. Do they reach out to you? How did you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is probably the question that I get asked the most, even still today. I will get regular emails on my Instagram, Facebook, through my website, asking me that exact question. How do I become a professional free runner? I mean, my answer always starts off the same, because I can only come at it from the angle that I came at it from, and that was that I didn't try to make it my job. I feel like if you do, you're setting yourself the wrong goals to achieve the level that you need to achieve, because to become great at something, you have to love it for what it is. And if you're just trying to become great so that you can do a job, so that you can get work or money out of it, the passion isn't there enough to drive that level of determination. You know, if you think of an NFL football player, like their dream is to get into the NFL. It's not to sign an $8 million contract. It's to get into the NFL. It's to play at the highest level of the sport that they love. They wake up every morning at 5 or 6 a.m., you know, with that in their mind, like, I want to achieve that dream. Like, I love football that much. And that's what it needs to be. It can't be like, I want to make a certain amount of money from doing a commercial, or I want to get into films. You've got to love the foundation to get to that level.
Well said.
You know, and that's how I would always start the answer to that question. Now, just to evolve it very briefly further, because I appreciate there's a lot of, you know, dynamics to it, and a lot of people will want to actually have these answers. You have then got to start thinking of it as a professional, from a professional angle. You know, look at it from a client's perspective. If I'm a young kid and I want to, you know, put myself forward for an event, a performance, a commercial, whatever it might be, what do I need? I need professional photos. I need a good headshot. I need a good profile photo. You know, I can't expect a client to go onto my Facebook and see me partying in Iron Appa with my mates and sunglasses on and a beer in my hand. Like that, you know, you've got to have professional photos. You've got to look the part. And then you need a video, you need a show reel. That is your CV, that is your resume. You know, there's so many people that come to me these days saying, can I put them forward for jobs? And I say, listen, I'm happy to help people out. Send me a show reel, send me a photo.
Yeah, but just a little side question here. Sometimes the things that you might find impressive are not necessarily things that the people looking at your CV would find impressive. So what do you tend to put in your show reel? What do you tend to focus on? What do you think that the people who are looking to hire are looking for?
I mean, that in many ways is almost an impossible question to answer, because every single project is so individual, and the entertainment industry is probably the only industry that is allowed to be sexist, racist, you know, in the most neutral of forms, you know, but sometimes they have to tick certain boxes. They may look for a certain ethnicity. I've lost jobs because I'm too short. I've won jobs because I'm short. You know, there's no two ways about it. I can't pull the heightism card.
Yeah,
and say, you know, why won't you hire me? Well, the film is about giants, Sam. So sorry.
Well,
you know,
fair enough. And to be honest, the industry is quite huge. So I think the trick is to just be really good at whatever it is you do.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
the opportunities will fill.
That's
Fair
your
enough.
best option, yeah.
Cool stuff. And did you ever do anything else besides for free running, or was it just free running? Did you ever transition? Were you like a b-boy at some point, or?
I can't call myself a b-boy because I respect the art. Do you know what I mean?
No, fair enough.
And so I've dabbled, is what I would say. You know, I've learned some swipes, I've learned some mills, but I wouldn't be able to jump in a battle and hold my own. You know,
Gotcha.
I end up throwing a couple of free running tricks and hoping that people are like, oh.
Yeah. So I'm going to be seeing Wonder Woman really soon.
Cool.
Where am I going to find you?
Dude, I was basically one of the soldiers. So a lot of this is actually another good point, actually, because let me just very briefly read.
Oh, you're the guy getting the shit beaten out of.
Very often, yeah.
It's a good role. Yeah. Well,
this is the thing, right? So you see it every now and then. I saw a video on Facebook that just went viral again most recently when it was talking about stunt doubles. Because at the end of the day, the stunt industry is full of very talented individuals that will never, ever get credited to the level that they should for what they do. And that's, you know, you accept that going into the game. You know, I accept that I'm going to be the guy that gets beaten up, and no, they may never even see my face, you know, to the extent where they may even put face replacement, you know, dots on my face during shooting and actually put someone else's face on mine, you know. That happens. And so you kind of accept that going in. So any time that I'm doing stunts, 9 times out of 10, you won't know it's me. The only person that will know it was me would be me, because
gotcha.
it could be deep background, it could be the guy flying through the air through a wall. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah, of course. And just to add to that, these positions that you're taking now, where you are taking these kind of roles on, to me it sounds like you look at them as being more stepping stones, right? So where do you see yourself being in 2-3 years, where you've kind of drained out all these roles, where you've gotten all these small here and there, or you've got even some pretty moderate roles? Do you see yourself being a full-fledged stuntman, or do you see yourself taking on roles as a full-fledged actor?
Sure. I mean, I would consider myself a full-fledged stuntman where I am now. You know, I've done my qualifications, and I set certain goals of things that I would have liked to have achieved. You know, so I've doubled certain actors, which means you are specifically responsible for that actor's role. You also look after that actor, you train that actor. I have achieved goals. You know, my hero getting into this industry was Jackie Chan, and you know, on my birthday just last year, I shot a movie with Jackie Chan. I had a one-on-one fight scene with Jackie Chan.
Oh wow.
So there's certain
and he's incredible. He doesn't cut his scenes, which is amazing.
He's the man.
Yeah, just for people watching, they need to know a lot of the cheap acting in Hollywood is they give the illusion that what they're doing is impressive because they have so many cut scenes. I think Jackie Chan, from what I remember, he's very, very specific about that. He doesn't like that. He wants to do the full entire scene. And he doesn't put cameras in the angles which can make it look better. I've read up on him. He has a very, very strong passion for what he does.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, he's a fascinating dude. Yeah, I wouldn't want to actually quote anything because I'll probably get it wrong, but I've read a lot of stuff myself. He is one fascinating individual, and still, to, you know, even after working with him, definitely a hero of mine. But, you know, the point being, in terms of where I am in my career, a lot of my peers are at that level where they did use stunts and are potentially using stunts almost as a stepping stone, because they want to go that, you know, to name a couple of individuals, you know, Jason Statham, Scott Adkins, Tony Jaa, you know, these action guys, but they're the face of it as well. They're the action hero.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
He's great. Tony Jaa is crazy.
I mean, all three of those guys.
All three of those, yeah. But
just phenomenal. But that's not been my goal. You know, I don't feel like I wanted to become this action star. I never want to be. In my opinion, I don't consider myself famous in any way, and I don't really want to become famous. You know, I don't envy people walking down the street and getting stopped every 2 minutes for a photo or an autograph. And I'm sure it's cool for like a few months, but you know,
it's for you, your drive, and you're in LA now, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So your drive to coming here is mainly to pursue your passion. It's not necessarily to integrate into Hollywood. Hollywood happened to have the best opportunity for you. That's kind of how you look at it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I definitely want to continue doing stunts. You know, there's no greater feeling than going and watching a movie, seeing your part. No one else might know it was you, but you see it, you enjoy it. And then you see your name come up on the credits, and you know that film would never have looked the same without no matter how small your part was, it wouldn't be the same without what you've put into it, you know. And that's a cool thing for me.
Awesome. Really, really awesome. So I'm definitely going to be checking you out in the video. I'm going to keep looking every single shoulder saying, is that Sam? Is that Sam? But and you played in Harry Potter too. And I assume that was in one of your earlier days.
That was probably, I don't know if it was the first. I want to say it was. I think it was pretty much.
How excited were you when I was like, from doing this in the street to being in the Harry Potter movie? You probably were like,
that was like beyond dream level. Like that really was beyond dream level. I think I was like 20, 21, 22 at the time. I was probably still at university at the time, and I was probably bunking off classes just to be able to go and do the days on Harry Potter, just because it was such an amazing opportunity. And actually, I wasn't a qualified stuntman at that time, so I wasn't working as a stuntman on the film. I was pretty much just doing extra days, but we were fortunate because they needed extras that could move, so they called it, action extras to probably make us feel a little bit better. But the reality was, at the time, although some of our guys, Adam, Chase, a couple of the guys, they had character roles, but we were basically cast as the Snatchers. So we would do all the running through the Forbidden Forest. It was a lot of fun. And at that time, that was our first film to be working on, and it was just dream. And
I can only imagine this works in increments. It probably opened a whole bunch of doors, and from there, yeah. Well, Wonder Woman sounds great too. So I feel like that would probably open a whole lot of doors, which leads me to my last question. 10 years from now, what role do you see yourself playing in the industry?
That's a good question. I don't fully know how to answer it, because where I've got to in my life, I'm 30 now, by the way, which
you look way younger, by the way, just to
yeah, I appreciate that. I'm trying to hold on. Yeah. There is only so much, impacts your body can take, so much, crap your body can take, basically. And that's not just in terms of stunts. When you're doing stunts, you can look after yourself reasonably well. I mean, mishaps happen and things, but as long as you're smart and you're playing it safe and you're doing the things that you should be doing, you shouldn't really be getting busted up too bad. Bumps and bruises, part and parcel of the job, but you shouldn't be snapping things and so on and so forth. But that said, with the free running and the impact of free running, that is just concrete all day long, hitting. And that does take more of a toll for me anyway. I'm not saying that's not the case for others, but definitely for me. And so I have definitely gotten to a point physically where I do have to be a lot smarter with my body. I can't keep doing that level of impact and things. So what I've done is taken what I consider to be the natural progression. And this is where the entrepreneurial roots came into things, where I now start managing free running things. So I will, with the free run team, we now have ambassadors, and we've just booked a job in India. So I now don't necessarily have to go and do the performances, but I can not even coordinate, but I can manage, I can choreograph, I can book the guys, you know, offer the opportunities to the new guys in the game right now. And so potentially I would imagine in the stunt arena, I would have the opportunity in 10 years time. I'd like to think that I could then go on to start doing a similar thing within the stunts. So I'd love to coordinate a film one day. I don't.
And you know what? That's kind of how I feel. Like, I feel like you're the pioneer of the free running movement, and that's it. That's your stepping stone forward now. And by the way, anyone doing these physical activities, they play a toll over time. And the trick is to take advantage of the time that you are in ideal shape to move on to a better opportunity. And I don't know, if I had to guess for you, what I feel is you continue pushing this direction, you might find yourself being more of an actor. And using your stuntmen to get yourself in the industry, and then take on more acting roles than they are stuntman roles. But that's just, you know, my guess.
That's it. Yeah, dude, maybe. And I think that is the beauty of life right there, is that you just never really know where you're going to be. Because I went to university to study business. I never even conceived being a stuntman. It would have been cool, but it was never ever in my, it didn't even enter my brain as a possibility. So I remember when I was pre-university at high school, I actually typed in on the computer at school. It was like, "What do you want to be when you're older?" I typed in stuntman. It came up with like no results. I was like, "Oh, well, that's not
It's so funny."
You know, I just assumed you were born into that role, like knowing people and so on and so forth. So at that point, university-wise, it never even came into my head as an option. And then, you know, fast forward 5 years, and I'm working on Harry Potter, I'm working on Edge of Tomorrow, World War Z, and so on and so forth. So then, would I have ever imagined that I'd live in LA one day? Hell no. But here I am. So 10 years is a long time for a lot of things to happen.
I would say the same about myself. Just so.
Of course, and I'm sure there's millions, if not everybody, that can relate to that. You know, because sometimes you feel like time goes slowly, sometimes you think it goes fast, but the reality always is, when you look back a year, 2 years, 3 years, a lot of things change. And so it's so difficult to predict where you're going to be. But I think the beauty of life, if you're open to the possibilities, it can take you to some pretty cool places.
Good speaker and a good stuntman. And on that note, I mean, I can't say how much I agree. Me myself, I don't plan for more than 2, even 1 year ahead. I worry about my challenges today, and I try to perfect every single task that's presented in front of me. And I don't try to anticipate the application of what I'm doing. Whatever is presented in front of me, I perfect it as to the best of my ability. And somehow that's all I need to get everything done right, so that I can move forward when the opportunity does present itself. So I like that we think in that same way. And great interview, honestly. Thank you for that insight, and I hope you inspire those taking the same path as you to make decisions that you've made. Keep up the amazing work, Sam. Keep up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, man.
All the best.
Thanks.